smoke, that's where they're together already. They get off each other, then boom, there's one more puff of smoke right there where they kind of get into each other. And when you run on somebody and you just lean your right side tire up against them and rub, eventually it is going to burn the bead, but it burns the outside bead off of the car.
Kyle Busch, tough ending to the day. Scored in 39th and off track here at New Hampshire. Kevin Harvick playing a little pit strategy, gained a bunch of positions on that cycle of pit stops 7 laps ago. He's running in the top 10 and working on Jamie McMurray.
Outside.
McMurray's got himself a good track position, but their car's not working as good as these other guys. I mean, they got to keep adjusting on this thing in a hurry in order for them to capitalize on that track position that they got.
And we talked about it early on, pit strategy and track position. Jamie McMurray's the only team, that team's the only team that gambled and really has made track position out of a gamble. Everybody else, 2 tires is not a gamble when everybody else 2 tires. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by those guys staying out, and I think that's what Mark and those guys are looking at this time, to try to replicate and duplicate whatever the one car McMurray did.
We got David Reagan, who got his first career win a couple of weeks ago at Daytona, and Paul Menard looking for his first. Battling just outside the top 10. Carl Edwards lingering right behind. Started 15th, dropped outside the top 20, and right now he's 13th with Brian Vickers in his hip pocket. And right behind them, Jeff Gordon, a guy you've had your eye on today, Wally.
Yeah, Jeff lost some spots there in the pits. He lost quite a few spots, actually. But watching his time, especially when it got to the middle towards the end of the run, Jeff's car was very, very fast compared to what the leaders were running.
And there goes Tony Stewart inside of Casey Kane, and Smoke back up to 3rd in the running order. On board with Martin Truex Jr. riding in the 5th position behind Casey Kane. 5 leaders today. 8 leads. Tony Stewart has led the most laps. It's his teammate, the pole sitter, Ryan Newman, who has the field in tow right now. His advantage over Mark Martin, 9/10 of a second with 72 laps complete at New Hampshire.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing from New Hampshire International Speedway on TNT is brought to you by American Ethanol, American Grown, American Made, powering NASCAR, by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences. By Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Goodyear, more driven. And by AT&T, rethink possible.
79 laps in at New Hampshire. Ryan Newman, the race leader. While we were away, Tony Stewart around Mark Martin for 2nd in the running order. Casey Kane, Martin Truex Jr. make up the top 5 as we put lap 80 on the board. And back in the 27th position, Dale Earnhardt Jr. right where he started today. He's dropped to 10th in the standings. So what are they fighting, Marty?
It has been everything, Adam. Dale Jr. is very unhappy with the handling of the race car. He said it's been loose for most of the day. Finally, on this most recent run, he said it's finally tight, but now it's way too tight getting into the corner. He also got on the guys, and Steve Letarte saying, we have got to stop taking 4 tires. I'm passing the same people every time I come back on the racetrack. Let's get on the same strategy with everybody else. I'm sure Kyle and Wally, that's frustrating, passing the same guys on every different run, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you pass those guys and they're taking 2 and you lose all that track position. And you know, I've been watching his times. His times aren't terrible. I mean, he's back there in traffic. So, you know, I think if they can get track position, but, you know, you say that about everybody. I mean, I'm just looking at the times these guys are running. Everybody is so close right now. But they do. In order for them to, they got to pick up 25 spots to be in the show.
Mark Martin, who did not pit when everyone else did at lap 61, loses another spot. That's Casey Kane going around Mark Martin for 3rd. And Kyle, we talk about Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his situation, but so many other guys in a similar spot. Clint Boyer, Brad Keselowski, Matt Kenseth all back deep in the field. Juan Pablo Montoya, because they lost track position and now can't get it back.
And can't get it back. And because everybody has been having 2-tire pit stops, then they can't gain it on pit road. So they have to do it on the racetrack. And honestly, you know, we run 30-some laps, 40-some laps, had a caution, then we had another caution. So it's not really got time, it's not really had time to play out that a guy that might be decent might be able to drive up a few. Right. Everybody's been on fairly equal tires for 20 or 30 laps.
Talk so much about drivers that need a race win. Harvick, the only driver right now in the top 8 in today's race that has a victory this season. That bodes well for someone trying to get their first win of the year. Matt?
And the big concern early on this morning for that 2019 was being just too free on exit. Right now, it's almost been the opposite. He's been free on entry, tight from the center off, and made a significant wedge adjustment on the last stop. Harvick right now is riding along in the 6th position like so many other guys. You're just kind of stuck in a certain lane of traffic like you're on the interstate. You can't go anywhere. Looking ahead to their next pit stop.
That's a great shot there. Back at 24 car of Jeff Gordon. His car is not as good as it was earlier. It doesn't look like. It looks like Jeff's car is a little bit tight. He's going down the corner, and it's not turning as well in the center, but it's still better than a lot of other guys out there.
And what's impressive to me, Wally, about what Jeff Gordon has done, he was around 20th after that last pit stop. He has driven back up into the top 10. Changed 4 tires on that pit stop, and perhaps we'll see those tires winning out at some point today.
And I think he's got a good enough car to get away with that. You know, they're changing 4. They've lost that track position, but the way this car is going through the center of the corners right now, I feel like that might play to their advantage a little bit later.
Yeah, and it can. But we heard in the pre-race again when Larry interviewed Chad. Chad said, "Hey, that 22 car of Brad Keselowski took 4 tires, and if you caught one more caution, 4 tires would have beat the track position." And I think that's what you're seeing with the 24 right here. He's making up that track position because of the 4 tires.
But it's got to go. It's got to go green for a while.
Oh yeah, it's got to go. It's got to go green. They can't have cautions, and this place is notorious for going green. I think they're playing the other gamble, hoping that it goes green.
Today's Goodyear Superior Performer is Ryan Newman. 2 career wins here. Got his first ever Cup win at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. He'd like to get his first win of the year here. He's got an advantage of over a second in front of Tony Stewart, who's the runner-up with 88 of 301 laps complete. Closing on lap 100 in the Lenox Industrial Tools 301 from New Hampshire. Ryan Newman, the race leader. Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, Mark Martin, and Martin Truex Jr. make up the top 5 as we go through the field. Brought to you by McDonald's, and we begin with Marty Snyder.
Adam, when I talked to Ryan Newman earlier this week, he described being 9th in the championship standings as, quote, very vulnerable. He said, you know, if we play it conservative, then we might fall out of the top 10 and don't get the wins we need to get a wild card. If we play it gambling-wise, we might fall out of the top 10 and lose all of our points. So far, so good for Newman, just a little bit loose. And on the same left side tires he started the race on, Matt.
And the same scenario for his teammate Tony Stewart. Marty, banner day for Stewart House run 2. You go back to last fall, Stewart lost a heartbreaker here. Ran out of gas, last lap, last corner. Right now, he is just riding along. His car, he says, actually much better this time on the takeoff than at the beginning of the race. Casey Kane moving on next year to Hendrick Motorsports, but you wouldn't know it. He wants to run this year out like he's going to be back in the 4 car. They made a significant air pressure change on the last stop. His car just a little too tight. He runs in 3rd, Chris.
Well, Mark Martin running in 4th right now. He qualified 24th. They stayed out on that last caution, so they got a lot of track position. He's still looking for that car to turn a little bit better in the center of the corner. However, they're going to have to come to pit lane in about 8 laps. Marty?
Chris, what would a win for Martin Truex Jr. in New Hampshire mean? It would mean everything. He told me earlier this week, I've won in everything here except for a Cup car. I would love to win at what he considers his home racetrack. He, too, 2 tire stops on both stops so far today. Car a little bit better, a little too tight now, actually, for the first time all day. Matt?
Marty, no one on the move more than Jeff Gordon, the 24 car, currently up to the 6th position. They lost some time on pit road due to taking 4 tires, and they had a slow stop on the right rear. He is quickly making that up on the racetrack. In fact, he says his car, it just seems like gets better and better through the center of the corner. Chris.
Well, Jeff Burton running in 7th right now. He's got 4 wins at this racetrack. The last one came in 2000. He's got a great car today, and this team desperately needs a good result. His only complaint all day is a little bit of forward bite. Every pit stop they've made, they've dropped the air pressures in that car. He says it's getting better, but they're still looking to get off the corner better. Matt?
A little tight on end for Kevin Harvick in the 29 car, currently in the 8th position. Their agenda is simple. They don't care about finishing 5th, 9th, or 19th. They want race victories. It's all about maximum bonus points type of days. 3 wins so far, trying to gain a 4th as we inch ever closer to when they reshuffle the lineup when the chase starts, Chris.
We'll talk about a gamble that paid off for Jamie McMurray. He's done really well right now. Matt?
The one thing that Steve Addington kept on his mind is there's caution on the racetrack. Was his car being too free? They've been able to control that. He's back in the 10th position.
And this is another great break for the Martin race team. You know, they gambled on it. They were going to have to come in probably another 6 laps or so.
Saw that pay dividends for Jamie McMurray, and now Mark Martin, the beneficiary. Our 3rd caution of the day for debris on the track. See the safety crews going out to clean that up. Our pit reporters took us through the top 10. Last time everyone pitted, lap 61. It's been 39 laps, well over halfway through a fuel run, so I would anticipate we'll see him again, and once again we'll see a number of different strategies here, Wally.
Well, I think the 24 car will just take 2 this time, and if he does, he could, well, he's already sitting in 5th spot, so guys look pretty good right now.
And this is where you try to map it out, so when you make that last stop, you're cycling to take 2 tires or no tires for that run to gain track position.
But does Mark have to take 4 now? Because he stayed out, so he can lose a little bit of that back.
Pits are open. Pit stop's coming at lap 101, Chris.
Yeah, this team got really lucky. You see that caution flew. All big high fives for the entire team. Mark Martin brings it into the box. It looks like it's going to be 4 tires on the 5 car. Going to do fuel tires. He's still looking for the car to turn a little bit better in the center, but Lance McGrew telling him that he was quicker than leaders, doing the left side tires. Matt?
And the 4 car of Casey Kane, 2 tires, he's already away. He felt like his left sides were working well. They called an audible for Tony Stewart when he was on pit road from 4 tires to 2, knowing so many cars would be taking 2. They didn't want to lose the track position, Marty.
And Matt, a sneaky call from Tony Gibson, who called for 4 tires the entire time. And Ryan Newman knew the entire time he was only taking 2 tires, half a round down on the track bar. They kept those left side tires on. That's now 101 laps on those left side tires. This could get interesting. Shows you how important that track position is, right, Adam?
The top 10 come off pit road, Marty. All of them took 2 tires. The race leader, Jimmy Johnson, he stayed on track. 3rd caution of the day cleaned up at New Hampshire. Green flag back in the air. We complete lap 104. Jimmy Johnson stayed out and is the race leader.
Boy, that was a great restart. Had a little help from Casey Kane on that. Pushed him down the straightaway. Now these guys are banking. They've got to come in 30 laps, Jimmy Johnson, because these guys are banking a caution coming out in the next 30 laps.
Yes.
In order for this gamble to help.
Yeah, the 48 car is in the same position that we talked earlier that the 1 car of Jamie McMurray is. They need that caution to keep that track position.
And we are at a stage of this race where we are just due for a long green flag run. You know, last year in this event, we went 200 consecutive laps under green without a caution, and we've already had 3 in the first 106 laps here today.
And he doesn't need a caution like right now.
No,
He needs it, you know, 20 laps or 25 laps from now.
Exactly. You need to run a few laps, and at some point in time, we're going to have to go to our man Larry McReynolds. Not right now, but at some point in time to sort out this 2-tire, 4-tire, because Jimmy has 4 tires because he changed 4 previously on the pit stop previous to this last one.
And guys like Stuart Newman have not changed their left sides yet, which, if we get into a green situation, could bite them later, because they're going to have to change 4 when everybody else, like Jimmy Johnson, comes in and changes too. So that's just again, you never know what's going to happen on this thing.
No,
So.
it's a crazy rotation and a crazy cycle, and it's the reason being Goodyear brought a new tire this year.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different tire than these guys have raced on. They watched the nationwide race and watched how it played out, so they're willing to go off that strategy and some of the same gambles that the nationwide guys took yesterday.